Sorry about that, forgot to shut off the monitor. Welcome to Midday Review, 12:07, April 11, 2018. I'm going to fly through these as fast as I can, but there is a fair amount. The first one I'm going to do is the actual oil trade. We're just beaming into the oil room here quick. So long story short, on the EPIC model, it's divergent, and it's up in a channel that is divergent on the model. So at this point, we're out of our long side, and we're waiting for a turn and probably for an interim short, and then possibly a long bounce at the bottom of the channel. So we're waiting for it to return to its normal machine trading land, but it was a good long side for a lot of members, so we did well on that. I'll just get out of the oil room and we'll take a look at a couple other oil charts here. So here's a weekly model. It's trading 67.05 on FX US oil WTI intraday, up 2.30%. Weekly chart. We had published a possibility in this model. This is just one model. It's not the EPIC model. This is a simple weekly model for oil. We published, I don't know, way back here somewhere. For the last few months, actually, we've been publishing that in this particular peak that there was a chance for oil to get in that 74.50 range. Now, of course, chances of that doing that over the next 24 hours are the exact timing on that, though, is for the week. So it's a weekly chart. So it's for the week of April 9th. So this could happen. It seemed unreal back when I was posting it around $50, I think. I never considered the idea that that could actually possibly happen. But there you go. That's how modeling works, and that's why I like to use the charts. So we shall see what happens with this. The monthly on FX US oil, so this is a model also. It's on the actual monthly, and the reason why you do it on different time frames is simply because different time frames will bring you into a different result. So in other words, the monthly here, this is this time cycle peak is in October, beginning of October, and it's saying $67. It doesn't mean it won't peak, up in here and come back down in. This is not a price peak. This is a time cycle peak. So that's where you get the highest volatility, usually, not always. But anyway, the important thing on this chart is, so in other words, it could spike up into that where that weekly target was, up into here. And then it could drop back down into this monthly target here. But more importantly, on the monthly, what it's been doing the last 4 months, well, 3 months, is it's been getting up through the 200 as resistance, right near the 50% retracement, and then backing off with higher, well, for the most part, higher lows. Right now, trading intraday at 67.11 puts it just a tad above that 50% retracement and what we would call a mid-quad. So the scenario that may play out here, let's see where the 100, yeah. It's possible, it'll spike up into that 74.50 range, hit that 100 MA, and then come back down in there for October. I wouldn't doubt that to be the trajectory, but, that's yet to be seen. So if I had to draw the lines, it would look something like this. So basically a round trip. This being the starting point where we are now, up into the 100 MA and back down into where we are now. The most aggressive stance you could take on it in this model is up here at $107 in October, but I don't see that happening. So I'm just going to mark it now as this is my projected scenario, something along this line. We shall see though. Okay, so that's oil. I'm just going to clear these charts. Actually, you know what I should probably do is I probably should save this quick for the record. Okay, so that's saved, so we'll go on to the next, clear these charts. Pardon me, gold. So I'm not going to show you the model today, but what I will tell you is that on the weekly, we have a scenario with the MACD pinching again, but the stock RSI about to turn up, perhaps, and it getting close to previous highs. So I've set it, I've alarmed it here at this previous high because that brings it one away from where it tested 200 MA. It's just a technical point for me. Sure looks good, and we'll see what the drum beats for war there. I think that will affect it. EOG. So this is one that we've had on watch for some time on our swing trading platform. Pardon me. It's triggering right up above what we would call a buy trigger and a previous high. And so right now it's trading intraday 109.73. The buy trigger was at 108.76. There is a diagonal fib line here that on the weekly would bring it in at 115.29 as a serious resistance, but it's going to target 119.68 if it stays above that trigger there around 109, let's call it, to make it an easy number. So this is your scenario. I can't give you exact dates right now because I don't have a model for this. I just have some simple fib work on it. Now where it would go from there, who knows? So I'll just remove that. But your target's going to be 119.55, and if I had to guess the date, it would be up in here. And this is just a wild guess. So that comes in right at earnings at the end of the month. So that's a nice, pardon me, that's a nice trigger point on EOG for a long. I'm going to leave that one on the board because I'm going to actually trigger alongside alert here soon. AAOI, so this one has been coming off for a number of months. This is my nemesis from last year. I have very few that I was on the wrong side of. AAOI, I was. This is actually starting to trigger a buy zone here. It's up over a mid quad, so that's definitely a buy trigger. It's up 12% today. So I'm going to leave that on the board because I'm going to alert that also. So we have models on that one. Just going to bring this oil one back up because I'm going to end up alerting it, so I want it on my list. Okay, so that's oil. EOG, we've got ESPR. Now this model needs to be extended over, but the bottom line is it's been trading perfectly in these fibs. It did get up to this resistance today and then backed off, but the important part is it's now triggering over a buy, an important pivot at 71.67. Its first target was 74.67. It hit that a little bit more today, backed off a bit, but its real target that I'm looking for is in the 80.60 area. This is a nice setup also. So I don't have a date on that, but I do have a price target for you at 80.70, 80.80. So that's a decent possible upside. ITCI. This is one that we've got very specific resistance point coming up right here at 23.88. So I'm not going to trigger that as a buy yet. Up over that 23.88 area, if it holds for any amount of time, then it's a long. you trigger at the 2388, and if, just like in this scenario, if it backs off, you just set a stop, ride it up until it stops, and then turns, and then release. So I'm expecting it though to get in between this 2388 and $30 range fairly soon, and I believe that's going to be its next zone. So we'll see how that one does. Disney, I modeled this one a while back, just like the S&P. It dropped out of the bottom of the model, but it's been structured in here, and it's definitely a buy side play. It's targeting up in this range here at 103.73 for June 30th. Netflix, we've been all over this one. This has been a good trade for us. Without going too far, we had a buy trigger on the model at 295.40-ish. And if you look a little closer, it has what we call, well, it's a diagonal fib line, that dotted gray line, or quad wall trading quadrant. And you can see how on the daily it was banging up against that resistance on that quad wall. And as soon as it broke through, that's the buy side trigger, confirmation of the trigger. So this one I really like. It's of course got some substantial upside targets. S&P, same thing as Disney. It fell out the bottom of this structure. I had modeled this in advance to trade getting anywhere near it when the S&P started coming off. And I had actually publicly tweeted that this is where the rebuild structure should happen. And sure enough, it did. So it's been working in here. It oversells a bit, hit the target I had for the exact day and time, and now it's continuing. Your upside resistance is 265.52. Your mid quad 267.96. So if it holds up over 265.62, it's going to target 268. And as far as timing on that, it would make sense that it comes in on the 18th. Now, it could come much more than that, but so our target right now is 268 on it, the S&P. Just going to scroll through to a few other charts here. Bears aren't giving me a hard time today, which is a nice break. Not getting the messages. TAN is another one that I'm watching. This is the solar ETF. Just trading 25.08 intraday. I've got a pivot buy trigger at 25.50, and at this point it's not triggered. I'm watching it very close. Just going to do a quick scroll. GDX. So this is another one that I've been alerting. Let's see how its structure here looks today. Okay, so it got right near that mid-quad resistance. and then it backed off on the day. So that's interesting to say the least. Good structure down in here, and the alerts up over the 50, and boom. It's got serious resistance in at 23.14, and it hit a high of 23.05 today. You want to trim, seriously trim at 23.14. So these have all been excellent plays. CELG, let's take a look at the structure on this. So it's slowly crawling up that quad wall, diagonal fib, and its first target is in that 91.37 range. Second target is in the 91.97 and then 96. So it's working its way one step at a time. Ultimate target here is 95.60 on April 20th. I don't think you'll see it though. Here's MXIM. I had alerted this, I think in and around 59.70-ish, maybe a little more, but there was a short bias on this. And sure enough, it came down, almost hit that support, and now it's bouncing. When it turns again, it'll be another short underneath 56.21. So that's playing out exactly as planned, or near exact. And Tesla. So you can see the chart structure here. We were alerting it down here, the 260 range. It got up over the mid quad at 280.17-ish. That was a confirmed buy, and then it just straight to the next resistance at 304.16. And right now it's working that resistance. It's got a target here, 382.70 on November 14th. Where you really want to watch this one is not so much at, well, these resistance points. So it's got a target 333.80 and 338.62 on its way up, but it's this quad wall right here. So once it does, if it does work its way up into here, you want to watch that zone there, and that's where your resistance is going to come. And from there, it's either going to go that way or that way for that target. So that one's playing out exactly as alerted. These setups have been really, really solid lately. I mean, normally we do fairly well, but lately they've just been smoking on target. Now this one is a little more difficult trade. It's C or city. So it's getting up near that 200 MA on the daily. This is a daily chart. It's modeled. It's a very simple model. we alerted it down in here. It's trading 70.51. It's got a few different target potentials here for June 15th area. 73.59, 86.55, and 99.69. I don't expect the high bullish target to hit, but this is definitely possible, this 86.70 area. The next resistance, well, of course, will be the MAs, the 200 MA and the other MAs, but the next price target is 73.68. So we'll see how it handles all this resistance. You just have to know how to use the model. The models are, fairly simple to use because it's all support and resistance lines. It's just some are diagonal, some are Fibs, and some are MAs and that kind of thing, or pivots. That's actually what happened with this one. It got into the pivot area, then it bounced, and we were alerting it, I think, just shy, I can't remember, 67 or something, we were alerting it with these targets. Okay, so that's City. I think that's all I wanted to take a look at. It's always good to take a look at your positions once in a while. Yeah. Okay, so that's been really solid trading the last few weeks on these. We'll go and take a look at some of the momentums on the day here. And the alarms, we should look at the alarm charts too. Okay. Alarms on the day. So EOG, we looked at DIS, we looked at ATHM. I was alerting this one before it broke previous highs. And it's still running. 94.84 on the day. What a great trade. Fantastic. VRX, what's going on here with VRX again? ESPR we looked at, so we looked at the rest of these. VRX. So VRX is up 2.89% on the day. Getting right into the 200 MA on the daily, so that's a huge test. If it crosses that 50 MA, it's back in play as far as I'm concerned. So we'll see how it does. Okay, so that's the ones I wanted to look at from my plays, also from the alarms that triggered in the room, and then the movers on the day. I'll just take a really quick look at those. I'm trying to keep these midday reviews to under 30 minutes. LEDS, we know what happened there from our open. It's nothing that I'm interested in playing. AVAV. So that's its daily chart. It's definitely on fire after getting the 200 MA bounce there. Iffy. It's not a great structure. Not saying that couldn't go. It certainly could. Just not a great structure. PVG. Getting near resistance on the 100. Not great structure. CELH up over the 200. So the same thing is happening with all of these basically. They're getting into resistance or just up over. AAOI, this is the daily by the way, if you look at it from that perspective. VHC, stay away, be careful. CBA, I'd be very cautious. Not the best structure on that either. APVO I was looking at earlier today. I was going to take long and I didn't. And I should have put a wood on the day. I really like it. I won't explain the structure, but I like it a lot. So I'm just going to alarm this upside. See how this plays out. EGC. Probably get to its 50, but not the structure I'm looking for. FATE. Funny because I've traded this a number of times, done well with it, and man, this thing could go again. Look at the MACD crossing. It's not a stock I like, but I'll tell you, chances are good it goes again here. Stock RSI is at the bottom on the weekly, cranking back up. It's really hard to ignore this one. It's not one of my favorites, but it's hard to ignore. SEII. Getting up into its resistance. It backed off at the 50 MA on the daily. It's a terrible structure. NVLN. Up against its 50 MA on daily. Not the best structure either. STNG. Up against its 50 MA on the daily. Interesting how that happens. SCWX. Just waiting for it here. Got this computer a little overloaded. Just about to the 50 on the daily. See how the chart structure in all these is very similar. NVTA. And they're all up, those were all up a similar amount, 9 to 12%. Again, another terrible chart structure. It hasn't got into its 50 MA yet. This one got over its 50 MA, HMHC, but they're all awful chart structure. COGT, same thing. OMER, same thing. ACAD, ACAD, bottom bounce. ASMB. It's not a bad structure. Got up over its 50. Bad alert. Crossing 50 MA. Okay, so that's midday review. Unless no, there's no charts for me to look at. Have a great day. 12/36/2018, April 11th. Midday review complete. Thanks.